He wasn't a rookie. He had years of experience, countless hours of chart time, and a plan he backtested to death. But when the trade turned against him, he froze. And then he fought. He couldn't let it go. He had to be right. So he added, doubled down, ignored his stop. By the end of the week, he'd lost 40% of his account, and something even more dangerous, his emotional stability. He didn't lose because the setup was bad. He lost because his ego wouldn't let him admit the truth. He was wrong. Most traders don't fail because they lack technical knowledge. They fail because they've never learned how to lose. Not intellectually, but emotionally. You'll hear it in phrases like, "It has to go up eventually." "I'm not closing at a loss. This thing is oversold. Let me just give it some more time." Underneath those words is the voice of the ego, desperate to protect your identity, not your capital. Because once your self-worth becomes linked to being right, every losing trade becomes an attack on who you are. And when your sense of self is at stake, you'll defend it at any cost. Even if it costs you your entire account. In The Disciplined Trader, Mark Douglas writes, "The need to be right is an emotional state of mind where you are not in control. The market is. When you need to be right, you override your edge. You reject feedback from the market. You attach your identity to your analysis. This is not trading. This is self-sabotage disguised as confidence. Trading is not about proving your intelligence. It's about executing a probabilistic system with discipline, regardless of how it feels. Professional traders know this. You don't trade to be right. You trade to be effective. Let's break this down further. 1. You override your strategy. Every time you place a trade, your system should have already made the decision. Your job is to follow it, not argue with it. But when you need to be right, you override your rules. You chase price. You move your stop. You cancel your stop altogether. You become reactive, not strategic. And soon, your system is gone. All that's left is you, your emotions, and the market. And guess who wins that battle every time? Not you. 2. You hold losers and cut winners. The need to be right creates emotional inversion. You let losers run, hoping they'll turn green. You cut winners too early, afraid they'll reverse and prove you wrong. The result? You bleed on red. And you starve on green. You systematically destroy your equity curve from both ends. And worst of all, you know what you're doing but you can't stop. Because stopping would mean admitting, "I was wrong." And that's the very thing your ego can't allow. 3. You seek revenge. When traders feel they've been disrespected by the market, they chase validation through revenge trades. But revenge is not a trading strategy. It's emotional warfare against your own capital. The more you seek to be proven right, the deeper your losses go. Why? Because revenge isn't about the trade. It's about ego restoration. And the market doesn't care about your ego. For you burn out mentally. Trying to be right all the time is exhausting. Every tick feels personal. Every red candle feels like failure. And eventually you don't trade to win anymore. You trade to not be wrong. That pressure destroys your joy, your clarity, and your objectivity. You burn out. Not because of trading itself, but because of the emotional weight you're carrying on every trade. 5. You become blind to feedback. The market gives constant feedback. Every tick, candle, breakout, or fake out is new data. But when your ego is in control, you don't see it. You interpret every move through the lens of "Am I right?" And if the market says you're not, you stop listening. That blindness leads to bad entries, missed exits, and eventually, crisis-level losses. 1. You reclaim mental freedom. When you release the need to be right, you stop caring about individual trades. You stop defending your ego. You become emotionally neutral. This unlocks a kind of mental clarity that's rare in trading. It's peaceful, focused, uncluttered. And from that space, your best trades emerge. 2. You respect the market's message. Without ego, the market becomes your partner, not your opponent. You start to listen. Price is invalidating my setup? Cool. I'm out. This trade isn't working? Time to move on. You stop fighting. You start responding. That shift alone saves most traders from 80% of their losses. 3. You let your edge work. You didn't backtest your system for 100 trades just to sabotage it on the 6th one. Letting go of being right means trusting your process. You take the loss and move on. You take the win and move on. You stay emotionally flat. That consistency is what allows your edge to express itself. Because no edge can work if the trader is interfering with it constantly. 4. You improve faster. The moment you detach your identity from your trades, every loss becomes a lesson. You stop defending your bad habits. You start observing them. You evolve. Your journal becomes honest. Your mistakes become your fuel. And instead of repeating the same emotional errors, you actually grow. 5. You trade with a clear mind. Imagine. You enter a trade. It doesn't work. You take the loss. No panic. No revenge. No identity crisis. Just one line in your journal and you're on to the next. That's the freedom that comes when you let go of being right. You stop trying to conquer the market. You start cooperating with it. And that mindset? That's the mindset of professionals. Let's go deeper into Marco's story. Marco wasn't a beginner. He was consistent until he wasn't. His strategy was simple. Breakout entries on high-volume names with tight risk. It worked well. Until that one Thursday. He shorted a stock into resistance. Everything aligned. But then, volume exploded. Buyers stepped in. Price ripped. And Marco hesitated. Then he doubled down. Twice. He told himself, it's overextended. It'll pull back soon. They're faking the move. But the market wasn't listening. By the time he stopped out, he was down 40%. Not just on the trade but his whole account. He didn't just lose money. He lost control. That weekend, Marco sat down with his journal and wrote one sentence. I don't need to be right. I need to survive. That sentence rewired everything. From then on, he sized smaller. He honored every stop. He embraced boredom. He celebrated execution, not outcome. He stopped proving himself. He started preserving himself. And his trading didn't just improve, it became sustainable. Let's be honest. We all want to be right. We all want the chart to bend to our will. But that's not trading. That's fantasy. The market is bigger than your opinion. It doesn't care what you think should happen. And it certainly won't protect your ego. But if you protect your discipline, the market will reward that. Eventually. Because discipline is rare. And rare traits get rare rewards. Are you still trading to be right? Ask yourself, do I override my stop to prove a point? Do I hold losers out of pride? Do I attach my worth to the outcome of one trade? Then maybe it's time for a new question. Would you rather be right? Or would you rather be profitable? Because you can't have both. Not every time. But the traders who survive? They choose process over pride. Every single time.